California, where at exactly?
I'm in San Luis Obispo.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
So you're not joining the Scottsdale crew and I don't know if that'll even happen again this year, but that the whole Scottsdale meetup of Tin Man and I guess Bowerman does Flagstaff.
Everyone was there, yeah.
Everyone was there. So no Flagstaff this year for you or Scottsdale.
Well, I just got back from Flagstaff, but that was just me. And now the whole squad is based out of here. And we'll be here for about another month.
Okay.
What elevation is Slow at?
I don't think it's any. It's just warm weather.
Yeah.
Just getting some warm weather in because we're going to start to hit the track now. So it's just, I think Donovan's pretty soft, so he likes the warm weather. He needs to be warm. It's nice.
So is Donovan so there's Galen Rupp certified for Galen only runs courses that are like perfect. Is there Donavan Brazier certified training camps?
Yeah, pretty much. It just needs a treadmill and some warm weather, pretty much, and like lots of ice. I've never seen someone ice so much in my life.
Really?
He's always recovering. It's pretty cool.
So you mentioned treadmill. How often does he run on the treadmill? And do you run on the treadmill too? Is that like part of the training plan or?
It's personal preference.
Okay.
Like I actually quite enjoy treadmill running for like short doubles, but I can't do anything over 45 minutes. So I do my easy runs on the trails, but if I have a treadmill, I'll probably do a double there. But Donovan has very low mileage, so he just likes good surface and it's perfect for him, I guess.
Well, I guess that's why he has so much time to recover because he's running less than you, so he's just chilling out, just recovering all the time.
He's always working,
always fresh.
So what's it been like so far? I mean, I know you haven't trained with him a ton yet, but what's the vibe like so far with him and Craig Engels? It's a
great mixture. That was honestly one of the driving forces of why I wanted to join this group was because, how often do you get the opportunity to train with a world champion and like a personality like Craig Engels? And at the time, Eric Jenkins was here. And I just thought they had a great dynamic going. I loved how light and easy they had it. It seemed like a really good fit for me. That's something that I think I really value. When I was at Oregon, like Cooper Teare, Reed Brown, a lot of the guys did the same thing. They were very lighthearted and they just had fun with it. And that's probably something I need to work on. And it really helps having guys like that around that are always joking and always get the work done, but are always, happy to have a laugh and talk and stuff. And these guys really replicate that well. So they're a good bunch of blokes and it's going really well so far.
Was that one of, if not the leading factor when you're looking at sponsorships and groups to join? Was that like the camaraderie or was it obviously just like first pay? What was kind of your thinking going into that?
Financially was my lowest preference. And that probably wasn't the best thing. Like people kept saying,
did Nike lowball you? Can we say right here, did Nike lowball you?
No. I picked Nike based off of what I valued very highly. But yeah, financially, that wasn't a driving force for me. It never was. There's plenty of opportunities to make more money outside of track and field. But for me, I see it as this is a short window of opportunity where I can do something pretty cool, pretty special. It's always been a dream of mine to be a professional runner. And if I was going to do that, I wanted to be where I was happy and where I think I could have grown and thrived the best. So for me, that was, having great training partners, a good coach, and somewhere that I was happy. And I just felt like this dynamic was really fit the mold. And just comparatively, I think it was the best fit for me. Yeah, simple as that.
Any other considerations that you're able to share? Like, were you looking at any other brands? Were you looking at other teams? Or did you kind of even going into the negotiation process, like know what you were looking for?
I had always kind of known about this group and I was somewhat introduced to it kind of early on. And obviously, if you're a runner, especially at Oregon, you're probably going to idolize Nike and these professional groups. So it was always on my radar. But yeah, I entertained all other brands, all other groups that were kind of extended my way. But to be honest, this was the one that was most enticing and the one that was most active in trying to recruit me. And I think I really appreciated that. So it kind of made my decision pretty easy, just because this was probably my first preference, and they were the one that put the most effort into to come in and get me. So yeah, it was pretty easy for me.
It does actually seem really good, even though the guys' team is, relatively small now. But like you have Donavan, who's like top end speed, like he's going to push you on the speed stuff. And then you have Craig, who's more the strength stuff, who can kind of keep you honest on the other way. And I think would you say that you're more of a miler than a 800 guy as well? So you kind of like fall right in the middle of their two strengths to some extent. You can kind of like play off both of them. Is that what you're finding out as well as you have started to train with them?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, when it comes to the strength, that's something I always need to work on. And I'm obviously pretty decent at it, but yeah, I'm exactly right. I'm that middle ground of, I have pretty good turnover, but I'm not amazing on that strength side. But comparatively, if I'm running the 8, yeah, I'll be pretty like, I'll tear Donavan up in anything over a mile for sure. But when it comes to speed, Donavan is just an absolute thoroughbred. Like, you see the guy walking around and he looks like a loaded spring. He's a greyhound. He's unreal to like watch run. And so when it comes to that speed, I've got so much to learn from him, and I'm really looking forward to that. And then on the other side, I've got Craig, who's, pretty well similar to me, same mileage, kind of same strength, but he's definitely, I think, stronger. So I can definitely piggyback off him. But yeah, when we meet in that middle ground, it's pretty well perfect. I'm working hard to run with these guys, and I hope I'm pushing them too. So it's a pretty sweet dynamic at the moment. I think we just need 1 or 2 more people to help lead a rep, but other than that, it's a great setup.
Do you guys have anyone in mind, or do you know, is Pete looking for some other guy to hop in?
I think we definitely are, but at the same time, we're not gonna lower our standards to bring anyone
just to get
in.
Someone. Yeah,
I think Pete's made it pretty clear that he only wants people on this group that are going to be contenders on the international stage, and so really it's up to him. But I think we've got 1 or 2 people that we're looking at, but it's kind of up to them and the timing of if they want to make the jump over. Yeah.
So Cole and Coop, they weren't qualified to be on the team. That's what we're leaving it.
I feel like Pete's a pretty low profile guy. What's kind of like your honest feedback, your first takes on being coached by him?
Yeah, Pete's an enigma. Like, I really didn't know much about him. Obviously, like when I first kind of got introduced, it was associated with NOP, and in my mind, it was pretty much an extension of NOP. But I didn't realize the extent the role he played in that chapter. And he was there from the beginning, really, but it was just, that second branch. So it's interesting learning more about him and his coaching philosophies and how he approaches the day-to-day. But he's an incredibly motivational coach, I find. We've had a few workouts together, and he really has some cool insights. And it might just be like, if a gap's forming, he'll be like, bridge that gap. Chariot will eat your lunch if you open up a gap like that. Or like he'll say, Galen Rupp used to do that in a workout, and like we worked on that. So like these cool little insights into like how he used to train with Galen Rupp or Mo Farah or Centra or whatever. Like I find that really interesting. So I like the fact that I'm kind of like following in their footsteps a little and following a similar path. So that's really interesting. But it's really reassuring to me knowing that he's been there and done that. Like not many coaches can say they've been around an Olympic champion or a world record holder or anything. So he's already done it. He's experienced and he's confident. And so far he's really teaching me a lot, which I like. So yeah.
How does that, you mentioned a little earlier, just like your mindset, benefiting from being around people who kind of like to, obviously work when they need to work, but also have a laugh. How does that mesh with Pete?
Yeah, I think Pete's kind of like me. He's pretty serious too, but when you got like these idiots on the team that just like are so lighthearted, it's so funny. And, it's so good for the team environment and the culture. So yeah, he laughs along with it, but he's definitely like me. He's pretty serious, monotonal. Like he just wants to get the work done, I feel. But yeah, no,
What did
funny.
I remember when we saw him at Texas qualifier. What did he say to Coco? Or was it Coco's boyfriend?
Remember. Oh, Coco's boyfriend. Yeah.
It's like you guys get to hang out tonight.
Yeah,
or something like that.
He was, after Coco got the 10K record at the Texas qualifier meet.
Right.
Yeah, he like her boyfriend came over and Pete was like, he was, I don't know, trying to hug her or something. And it's like, no, like Coco has to go cool down to her workout. Like you'll get to hang out with her later. Like celebrate with her later. Like basically just don't talk to her. Like leave her alone. She's got work to do. Get out of here.
Good sport. Good sport.
Yeah, it's all business here. All business.
Yeah. I was curious so Craig says pretty publicly, famously, I don't know if famously is the right word, but he will say that he doesn't even like running. He only does it because he's good at it. Blah, blah, blah. He just likes to compete. Okay, so now as someone who's run with him a bit, like obviously he has to train really hard and take it super seriously when he's actually training. Otherwise he wouldn't be at the caliber he is. So is that the impression that you're getting as well from him, that he doesn't actually like running? He just does it because he's good at it?
No. He enjoys it. I think he likes the people that he meets. He's a really unique guy, in that he loves like one-on-one conversations and meeting new people. And like this morning we found a new trail, and it was, we parked at some just regular car park where all these hiking trails are. And he was just chatting up people in the car park. I think he just loves meeting new people.
And you can tell that he's like super into he's always into the conversation.
Yeah.
He's like such an active listener.
I can't imagine being that extroverted. Like I'm not there, you know, like that's too much, but that's cool. I mean, that's awesome that he's that way.
Yeah. I think he loves meeting people, and I'm sure he is talented, but that's not to take anything away from his work ethic. You know, like he's doing the same thing as me, and I'm working hard. He might do it a little differently, but he's putting the time and effort in. And I think you can't be competing and training on the level we are if you're not loving it, because like it's hard work. We're putting in a lot of time and effort, and he's doing it. So I'm sure he is. There are moments, of course, when we all like fucking hate running. Like you don't want to wake up and do a 10-mile run, but
of course
that's just par for the course. I think that's just normal. But nah, I'm sure he does love it.
For sure. Now that you're officially professional, do you think it's like easier to stay motivated? Like, has it felt at times like more of a job, quote unquote? Like, or does it feel the exact same as it did in your last year at Oregon?
It's a little different in the sense that it's not as regimented. We had it down to a T at Oregon. Ben's kind of like a drill sergeant. It's like we get a weekly log on Sunday night, and it's meet here at this time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. Mm-hmm. And it just jots it down to every minute pretty much. So you know exactly what you're doing and how you're supposed to do it. And obviously in the pro life, it's a little differently. So I'm just trying to adjust to that and find my own routine. But really it's the motivation's there, but obviously it's probably a little bit harder if you don't have that routine, but that's more, intrinsically found, I think, that personal motivation. So slightly different, but no, it's cool. It's the same thing, honestly, really.
Yeah.
Same brand, same training, really. So yeah.
And how long did the entire process take end to end? So like when you started, I don't know, whatever, started the search to go pro, or started working with an agent to start negotiating deals, whatever, like how long ago was that, and how long did that process take to go pro? And the main like thing that I'm curious about from like my viewpoint was, it was interesting how like you, Cole, and Cooper kind of all went pro at different times. I would have thought it would have been more like you all together collectively were like, all right, like we're all done. Like we either all done or we're all staying, that sort of thing. But then it kind of like rolled off one at a time with Cole first. So I was just wondering if part of that was like the timing of just how long it takes to negotiate contracts and everything that goes into that.
No, we didn't play it that way, I don't think. Yeah, when you've got high caliber US athletes like Coop and Cole, I think brands will move mountains to secure you. So those guys, I think, were kind of set in stone fairly early on. Coop obviously was just sitting on it. And that was his personal preference. But with me, it's a little different because I go through Nike Australia. So mine was a very slow process, but we got there. But yeah, I was just waiting until it was all finalized. But from day dot to where we ended up, it took a while. It took a long time. I guess you could go back to 2020 indoors. I think, I had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'd already kind of reached out to an agent and was just like, hey, I'm just trying to learn about this system and this is where I want to end up. Can you help me out? So if you want to take it from there, that's probably when it started. And then obviously COVID hit and where we are where we at now. But, honestly, if COVID hadn't hit, I probably would have made the transition the outdoor of 2020 just because I was already trending that way. I think I'd technically run the fastest indoor mile. I was already kind of at that level and I was already kind of hoping to make that transition because, at that point I was 24 at college and I'd pretty much finished up my academics and I was ready to move on. But just with how the season and the pandemic happened, it was just best for me to keep rolling with it. But it is a very long process and it's very frustrating because it's kind of out of your control. All you can do is just run hard and hope that they, come to the table. But it just took a while. It took a long time for me, which was pretty frustrating.
Yeah. Is there like something specific about Nike Australia separate that makes it that much more confusing or convoluted or whatever? Because I know that was what Jen Gregson was telling us as well a while back when we had her on, was just how, I don't know. I don't remember what she said exactly about it, but yeah, she was just like, it's a whole different world basically negotiating that in Australia versus if you were anywhere else, if she was a US citizen or competing for the US.
Yeah. It's not my world. I don't know too much about it, but my understanding is Australia just doesn't do many contracts. I think there's only about 5 or 6 Aussie Nike athletes. So just that basic contract, how it works, I just don't think they're too familiar with how it works. So I'm pretty sure Nike USA sent over our contracts to Australia. They didn't even have it. They don't even know how to write it up, I think.
Got it.
Yeah.
It's just funny. Yeah, you think of like Nike, global company, you just think Nike is Nike. But yeah, then Nike breaks down into all their different countries that they operate in and everything else. It's just, I don't know. It's funny that even a company that successful and big is like still kind of unorganized behind the scenes to some extent,
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I don't know the full extent of it. But it was frustrating why it took so long because I was scratching my head. But anyway,
I feel like especially as like for something that's so cut and dry, like running, where it's like, hey, I've run these times.
I'm clearly fast enough. Right. I'm clearly gonna make a world team or whatever. Right, I'm at the best in my country. Like obviously, I deserve this contract, but just making it happen.
What's one of the dumbest things you've bought now that you're a pro athlete?
I guess you could say a car. But I needed that. So
you're a Tesla guy.
I got a Tesla, which I love. It's so sick, but definitely don't. Well, I need it. Yeah.
Did you drive it down to? Oh yeah, because you were in Flagstaff before. So have you been driving it around?
Yeah,
road tripping. Oh hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So my girlfriend was out here, so we did a road trip up to Flagstaff and spent about 3 weeks up there over Christmas, and then I drove it down here to camp. And yeah, it's sick because I'm getting some good use out of it. And the primary reason why I went a little extravagant on the car was because I was going to do some driving and I wanted something comfy and safe and all that. And this is great for that. So yeah.
And really you can take a nap while you're driving. It's just what a great car. I feel like I should just exit the podcast now so that you two can talk about your Teslas and I'll just.
It will yell at you if you're, well, actually I don't know if it'll yell at you if you're asleep.
Well,
it yells at me when I text and drive.
Oh no, yeah.
I definitely don't trust autopilot.
Dude, I have the public beta, and I that thing's almost killed me a few times.
Yeah.
And especially like in a city setting too, where there's so many variables of
on the
things
highway.
that can
Sure, maybe not like up a mountain or downtown Chicago.
Yeah,
pass.
Yeah, it's pretty dodgy. They got some things to work out on that car.
I mean, it has gotten a lot better from when I first got it downtown to like, I think I let it drive later in the evening when there was less traffic. And I felt like my life was less in danger.
Yeah.
When we were driving up to Flagstaff, there was this gnarly like snowstorm, freak storm. And I had only just bought the car. It was probably a week in. And we were going along this stretch of road that was so icy, and it was single lane traffic. And we were going like 25 mile an hour. And we were sitting on this for like 2 hours. And I was like, fuck this. Like, this is so boring. I can't just like, it was exhausting. So I was like, oh, I'll just turn cruise control on.
Mm-hmm.
And I go to turn cruise control on. And I didn't realize that when you do that, it automatically goes to the speed limit. So we're going 20 miles an hour. And I didn't realize we're on a freeway. So it goes immediately goes to like, tries to go to 60 mile an hour.
Yeah.
And I nearly went straight in front of like a 16-wheeler. It was terrifying.
I don't know what the setting is, but mine is so aggressive off the light. I'm like, dude, we like
chill.
don't. I'm like spilling shit in the car.
There's definitely like a lot of bugs you got to sort out. And like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's definitely. I heard somebody say they're like, yeah, autopilot's cool, the car is cool, but it's not like wife approved. It's like that's a good way to put it. Like I would never let it drive children around or anything like that.
Yeah. So your car wasn't the one that got stolen. There was we got a notice today that a car got stolen. We live in a condo building and we have a garage with a garage attendant, and apparently someone stole someone's car out of the garage.
Do you know what type of car it was?
No, I
Was it
don't.
a
I was
fancy
just
car?
wondering if it was yours.
No.
They didn't say what it was.
I read that and was like, fuck.
It's like, is a Tesla easy to steal? I don't know. You can just open it with an app. So if they steal your phone.
You put the card in there, right?
Yeah, or the card, right?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to work out the key too.
Dude, the key's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
The I have the walkaway lock that turns on, and the garage attendant always yells at me because I'm like a dumbass and forget to disable it.
Oh, so they can't.
I gotta work that out. Yeah. I gotta work that out.
It's funny that they have all these like when you get it, you're supposed to listen to all this how-to tutorial stuff, and I was like, nah, I'm just gonna drive away.
Yeah, I think I was the same.
I have a really random question. What's your obsession with cereal?
Cereal?
Yeah.
I've got a huge sweet tooth.
Okay.
Nice.
And it just started like I'm always fascinated with the cereal aisles in America because they're so sick. Like the cereals to me is like the highlight. And it just started like one year. Like I think one year I was like, I'm gonna try every single cereal. And then I realized that you guys have like seasonal cereals too. So
yeah.
it's
always changing.
Yeah. I do the basics. I just started one day. I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this, put it on my story. And it's kind of cool. I like the folder. I always look through it.
You need an app that like tracks your kind of like a beer. Or
it's like Untapped for cereals.
It's cool. Yeah. I love the cereal. So
have you gone to like Aldi or I guess maybe Walmart would have like the off-brand ones where it's
I've
not
got some
like,
right now.
Oh yeah, some off-branders.
One of those giant bags that's like the size of your torso.
Yeah.
That one.
See that's the problem with doing every cereal is because then do you count? So if you do Lucky Charms, do you have to get all the private label
Marshmallow Stars?
Marshmallow Mateys, Marshmallow Stars. It depends on like what grocery store you're in. So
I think
I don't know where you
stick
stop
with like the name brand.
Yeah,
I just want name brand.
So what's the favorite then?
Oreos.
Okay.
Or s'mores.
All right.
And maybe I think I tried Fruit Loops with marshmallows. They were pretty good.
I don't think I've ever had it with
I could see that being really good.
They were extravagant.
Yeah, so you like the sweet stuff. Okay.
Sweet, yeah.
Good.
So in Australia, what's the cereal landscape?
The Wheat Bix or whatever.
Yeah,
that's what Ryan was eating while he was talking to us. He's just like eating a bowl of Wheat Bix.
Yeah. Pretty basic back home. I think that's why I like it over here so much. Wheat Bix, Nutri-Grain, Cocoa Pops, Fruit Loops. But even your Fruit Loops are sweeter. It's weird.
That's like how they put traditional like Mexican sugar in Mexican Coca-Cola. Like
like the
OG
sugar is
sugar.
different. Yeah,
The
the sugar is
bottle,
different.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're better.
Yep.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't had. I don't know. I need to get back on the cereal grind. That was my thing growing up.
I feel like once you get past the ripe age of 23, you're like an oatmeal guy.
if you're smart, if you're healthy, I think that cereal is so addicting. It's like once you start having it all the time, then you just got to have it all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
is it like is it a breakfast thing, or is it more like a snack, like treat thing in the afternoon? How do you consume it?
Definitely a snack.
Okay.
Big snack. Like I definitely couldn't have that before a run.
Yeah.
But I also don't have that anymore. Like I can do that in the off season, but I can't do it on the like when I'm in season because I just go crazy with it.
Okay. So you binge a little bit certain times of the year.
It's a snack. Yeah, that's like Oreos with me. Like Oreos are my favorite cookie. Is that what you'd call it? A cookie?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could call it a cookie.
Yeah, they're my favorite cookie, but I can't buy them because like if I open it, I will finish the packet.
That's the problem with things.
Do that.
That's the problem with things that are sold in like a sleeve. I'm just gonna finish the sleeve.
I know. Okay, so here's my logic, and I always get made fun of for this by my wife. But like whenever I have junk food in the house or like any of that stuff, Oreos, even like a sugary cereal, my logic is, okay, I'm just gonna binge it and eat it all like today. So that way then starting tomorrow and the next day, like I have to be healthy because there's none left.
Yeah.
Versus she's like, well, why don't you just like space it out so you just have a little bit every day for 5 days? And I'm like, no. If I just kill it all today, then I'll have to eat healthy for the next 4 days because there's none left.
Yeah, she doesn't get it.
She doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
She doesn't get it.
It's not quite
Gotta
like
go all in.
you're not quite like an alcoholic. I don't know what that is. Like what logic is that?
I don't know, something about because I know that I want more. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So it's like I know that I want the whole carton of ice cream. So I'm just gonna go for it. And then I'm gonna like feel bad about it, and probably my stomach's gonna feel bad about it the next day. So then it's a lot easier to also like stay away from it.
You'd
the
rather
next
consolidate the suffering.
Is consolidate the enjoyment and the suffering.
Oh my God.
both of those things.
What's your biggest like in season if you're gonna have a day that you either go hard in the snacks or treats? What's your biggest like cheat day?
I used to do like a good like one cheat day, and I try to be as good as I can throughout the week, and then have one cheat day. And for me, that was I'd go to Mod Pizza, get a pizza, go to 7-Eleven around the corner, get one of those big like liter Pepsis,
yes,
and just go hard. That was me. And I'd also get like a little cookie or something. But now, like, I got to get into a better routine. I feel like I'm snacking too much here. But for me, like, I like to have donuts. I'll probably go down to, like, you have, like, donut shops here, which is kind of cool. So I'll go get a donut or something. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. What are you just trying local places usually when you get donuts? Or are you like Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme? I don't know what donut stores you've had around you in your time in the U.S.
Donovan just got a big box of, I think they're called Sundance, which is just one of those like little mum and dad kind of like donut shops. And that was good. I like that one. Not a big fan of Dunkin', just went there. I think they're pretty average donuts. Whole Foods, they do pretty good donuts.
Yeah, they do.
Whole Foods, like their hot bar slaps too.
They have good quality on all their
stuff. Probably spent way too much money at Whole Foods.
No, come on. Grocery store is always cheaper than going to like a restaurant or takeout.
Yeah, that's fair.
So
that's fair.
So we want to know, but we also had one of the listener questions was, what do you think of the Union Athletic Club name?
I think it's good. We're actually still trying to figure that out, like what the team mission statement is, what our pillars are, like what we're founded on. So it's still an evolving brand. And I think, we had a meeting with some Nike executives yesterday about, how we're going to shape the brand and where we want to lead the team to be. And I think what kept on coming up, which I thought was really unique, is that this is a unique situation. How often do you get to see a new Nike team? And it's totally, unrestricted, can be whatever we want. So I'm very optimistic with where it can go. I think everyone on the team is like-minded. It's a high achieving group. It's not going to be just lane fillers. So I'm excited for that. But The name, I'm impartial. It's just a name for me, but I think it's kind of cool. Union.
So you're more like bullish behind what the brand of the club itself is going to be.
Yeah, I'm not too caught up over the individual name. I think it's fine. Yeah. I think it's a great name.
What have those like first conversations about the evolution of the brand been like? Like any insight you can share, main deciding factors of like, those initial conversations of where you want the brand to go. What's come up a bit?
Yeah, it's been a collective conversation. It's a team agreement on what we want. And obviously it's very preliminary. We've only just started to, as a team, come together and talk about it. But I think what keeps coming up is contenders. Like we want to compete no matter what the stage is. We want to be leaders in the community. We want to be approachable so that people growing up or coming up through the ranks won't be afraid to come and talk to us, and that we're happy to offer our insights back to them. I know I really appreciated whatever information I got when I was young. But at the heart of it, this is a team that wants excellence. I think, none of us are here happy or complacent with just making a team. I think we want to be contenders on that international level. I think we want to set records. It's going to be a team that, sets the benchmark, much like NOP was.
How's the what's the actual process for that? Like, do they have specific workflows that they kind of put you guys in to brainstorm, or is it just more like what are you looking in terms of process for that?
As I said, very preliminary, but we've got a team behind us that's working on all kind of facets behind the business. But I think it's great that the athletes themselves are establishing what the brand is going to kind of become, what our foundations are. So for instance, the other night we had a team meeting and we just sat down and wrote pretty much buzzwords of what our mission statement is, what our pillars might be. And that might be, I think what was mine? Mine was like tenacious. We want to be leaders. We want to create a sense of family. We want to, a variety of different words. But yeah, well, now that we have quite a large list of kind of what our goals are, what our ambitions are, we're going to kind of summarize them and hopefully come up with probably 4 or 5 pillars of our brand and kind of use that as the foundation as to where we go forward. And that'll probably be reflected in our merchandise and how we conduct ourselves as athletes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes out of it from uniforms, logos, designs, hype trailer, marketing ads, like all sorts of stuff. Cause that's, that's the part that's been, as a viewer and fan of the sport, there's like not that much that came out. Like the name was announced, right? But there's not been like this. The whole message hasn't been put together yet, as you're saying, and so there hasn't been. I was just waiting. I was like, all right, they're going to drop the name. There's going to be this hype ass like trailer. Yeah. They're going to go through all this stuff, but then I don't know. You're making us wait for a little bit longer here, so it's a little bit of a tease.
Do you think the slow play is on purpose, like for getting the right message as far as what the brand is about and then dropping the hype? I feel like that's
absolutely. Yeah. No, I think we want to be very careful about what we put out there, because whatever it is, it's going to be associated with us. And we just want to make sure that what we do put out there is aligned with what we all truly want and is the right message we want. So no, we're excited for that. And I think another kind of good key direction we want to take is transparency. And I know one of the girls mentioned the other day, we want to try and set the foundation of, all right, be open with the community about where we're going to be. And we're going to say, all right, we're setting up a meet here on February 15th and who's going to race us? This is where we'll be. You show up and we'll race against us. And I think that'll be great for the sport itself.
That's a healthy direction.
Put challenges out there for other people to, come rock up and see who's the best on the day. I think that's great for the sport and for the team image. So that's a cool new idea, I think, that we might be kind of taking on.
Yeah,
I
people would
like
love
that.
Yeah.
If you were to put, especially if you like put out just like a direct challenge, that would be just, I don't know, fun.
Oh yeah, blow up for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little bit about like going way back to you starting and running, and you, I don't know. I always find it so interesting that the US, I guess because of our NCAA system, that, you know, international folks like know about the NCAA system, want to come there. Like that's like a known path to getting a scholarship to get college for free, and then going like, and hopefully beyond going pro, and like from all these different countries, that's a thing. And I just like, I don't know, as a person in the US, you know, that's not something that we ever thought about, was like going to college in another country. I guess some people do, but not many people.
That's
but
a good point.
It's just like a weird thing. And I'm almost like, God, we don't deserve it. Like the US ain't that great. Like why do we deserve all these good people coming to us and like living in our country, training in our country? It's awesome. But yeah, curious to hear about your upbringing and running, and like when you realize you were pretty good at a young age, like when you started to realize you were pretty good at it, like when you started thinking about, oh, I might go to the US and run D1, and how that all came about.
Yeah. You know, this is a topic that I think I really need to formulate my answer, because it always gets brought up, but I never do it justice. You know, just long story short, I had a pretty intense training upbringing when I was quite young. I come from a very good family background, and I was always very motivated and driven. And probably from, you know, like kindergarten through to whatever, I was always kind of known as the runner. I was always very athletic. But at the same time, I'd play rugby, I'd play a bit of tennis, I'd surf, I'd swim, whatever. No particular fixation on track and field. And then when I got to probably about junior school, so that's like year 6, my grandfather started to coach me, because there was obviously a bit more promise there with running. I was just naturally a bit more gifted in running, and I seemed to take to it pretty well. And he kind of guided me and introduced me to just very basic running training, and it just slowly progressed to where I'd make the state level, and then I'd maybe medal at the state level, and then I'd make it to the next level and medal at the next level, whatever. And it just, as I said, every year it just progressed. But I was someone that was so driven, and like probably to my detriment, I was way too focused and intense with my training. That then meant I found a natural running coach, and I had a cool little group at that time. But I just trained so bloody hard. Like I'll put my hand on my heart right now and tell you that the hardest I've ever trained was when I was in middle school to senior school.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's without a shadow
Okay.
of a doubt the hardest I've ever trained. And that's not a compliment to me. That's just, I trained so bloody hard. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So I probably had, I had good results based off of that. I had won the Australian under 20 1500 meter championship.
Mhm.
I had won pretty much all the state cross country championships. I think I came third at the nationals in cross. I qualified for the world cross country. But at the time I was probably a consistent guy on the top level, but I was never going to go pro. I wasn't running super quick, but I think I just wanted it really, really bad.
Right.
And so now I'm graduating high school, and I'm a good runner, but not fantastic. College was never on my radar. To go to the collegiate system, what just wasn't really something many Aussies were doing at the time, and it just didn't really fascinate me. So I just planned on going to university in Australia and just trying to make it there. And I actually took a gap year and didn't do a whole lot of running at that time. And then I went to work and started going to uni back in Australia. And I joined a new squad called the Melbourne Track Club. And that was my first true introduction to just pure running, because prior to that, I'd done a lot of cross training. Pretty much I trained as a triathlete.
Okay.
And yeah, put it simply that I trained like a triathlete. But this was now a full introduction into what it meant to be a professional runner. So I was running with the likes of Luke Matthews, Ryan Gregson, Jen the Cars, Stuart McSween, all those guys. And I had some pretty rapid results. My first year properly running, I qualified for the outdoor 1500 open final. I extended my season. I went to the Stumptown Track Classic and Portland Track Festival, and I ended up running 3:41. And at that point, I was like, I'd already done a year of kind of training in Australia and studying in Australia. And I thought, I can't keep doing this. Like, it's too hard back home. Like, there's just no support back there. And it was just too hard. I just didn't really like it. And I thought the collegiate system was a great balance of academics and training. That way, like, I can pretty much be sponsored as a Nike athlete if I go to Oregon, and I'm still studying full time and I'm still training full time. So I thought it was the perfect opportunity. The only problem was I only considered Oregon. I didn't apply to any other schools, which is pretty dumb. But in my mind, I thought Oregon was the best. And to be fair, they were. But just for me, I loved it. It was my dream school at the time. And I only applied there and I got in. So it was perfect.
It worked out. Yeah. You didn't waste time applying to other places.
Yeah, exactly. But I applied as pretty much a mature age student. I was 21, I think, 21 or 22. So I applied to Oregon, got in. I was late to the party, but I was there and I was so stoked to be there. And it was an incredible opportunity. I learned so much, and it was just a great part of my life, like living in a different country. I'd never properly lived in a different country, and, you know, meeting new people, studying, and it's just, the collegiate system is just life on steroids. Like, you're just getting so much stuff that I never got when I was back home. So it was so much to take in, and it took a while, but I feel like I got my head around it all and how to balance life and study and running. And I got into a perfect equilibrium. You know, I think I was on the dean's list by the end of my time there. I was running great. You know, I had a good group of friends, and it was a perfect setup. Yeah.
How was coming over as a 21-year-old? You're especially as somebody who grew up where the drinking age was lower than 21. How was the adjustment, like meeting all these American students who were like getting shit housed at 18?
It's funny. It's definitely a different culture. I've never been huge into the like drinking or partying that much, but it's funny. There's definitely a different perception of what you should be doing. Like, it seems like you guys just get. Actually, no. I think in Australia, guys get way more shit-faced than Americans.
That's the vibe I get from, you know, TikTok or whatever.
Oh God.
I feel like a lot of the funniest drinking stupid stuff TikToks that I follow are all Australian accounts. I think they're hilarious.
But you guys got like maybe Coop and Rita bad influences, but like those guys are insane. Like they went hard from the beginning I was there to the end. Like, whatever.
So I guess with the team at Oregon, was it mostly held to the end of the season? Like, did you guys have like packs for like dry seasons, or did you like, just have a balance of fun during the season?
That was all on those guys. I didn't do any of that when I was
Yeah. I'm more like throwing them under the bus here. But.
No, they definitely were reserved when they needed to be. But then they knew how to have fun. And they always would. Always. Always. And I was living upstairs. So yeah, I can attest to it. They're great. They've got an awesome balance of it. Like they can still have fun during the season, but they still get the work done. But then they know how to like rip loose at the end, and they always do. Yeah.
So coming over, having done some academics in Australia, did any of that stuff like transfer, or when you got to Oregon, were you starting from scratch towards a degree?
I lost a lot. Yeah,
that sucks. I figured that would be the case, but that's
it kind of sucked because I would have been finished a fair bit earlier. But yeah, I lost a lot transferring over, but it's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, kind of all worked out eventually for making the pro career and all that. But
absolutely,
and the dean's list,
exactly.
I keep saying to myself, like, I don't think I would have ran the times I have or made the Olympics if it all didn't unfold the way it did.
Exactly.
So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. COVID and just coming to college late, I think it all just worked out perfectly. Obviously, it would have been nice to have done it a bit earlier, but I think it worked out the way it did for a reason.
Yeah. So speaking of the Olympics, you were just on the Sit and Kick podcast with Colin Cooper. So I guess first of all, shame on Josh and Dave for making you share time with them. We're going to give you the full time because we want to learn about you. Shame on them, number one. Shame on Josh because he directly asked Cole, like, oh, what was it like making the Olympics? Whatever. He forgot that you made the Olympics. I don't even know maybe, I don't know. I wasn't obviously watching the video of it because at the time the video wasn't out, but I don't know. You didn't even remember you were in the Olympics or something. It wasn't addressing you. I don't know. So you just mentioned the Olympics. How was that experience getting to represent Australia? And you made the second round of the 800. So good first showing for guys coming out of college.
Yeah, no, it was unreal. I still need to kind of pinch myself that I've done that. But at the same time, I think the athlete that I've become, I'm trying to repeatedly burn it into my brain that I belong here, that no matter who's on the start line, I can compete against them. And I think that's a champion mindset. That's what Donavan has. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of these top guys have. And it's, you belong there. And so, yeah, it was unreal to be there, but I deserved it because I ran the time. I deserved to be there. It was unreal to experience that first senior team, to get the gear, to be in the team environment, and just to soak it up, just to meet all these top guys like Teare and Ingebrigtsens and whoever's there. It's a very unique situation. It's not even though the collegiate system prepares you for pretty much everything, I think the Olympics is just that next level of this is real. So yeah, it was unreal. So stoked to be there. So humbling to represent my country. I left very, how would you say, just not super pleased with my end result. Mm-hmm. But I felt as though I left the track leaving nothing. I'd ran the race to give myself the best opportunity to advance and run quick. It just wasn't my race. Towards the end of the season, I think my body was kind of wearing down a bit. It was long for me. So my body and mind was kind of drifting a bit. But I raced with heart and, I left no regrets. So I slept well that night knowing that I'd done all that I could, but it's just racing. And hopefully now that I'm in this more tailored program for me, mm-hmm. I think it will it'll improve my longevity of the season, just because I've always found with the collegiate system, it burns you out. It's tough. You race a lot, you're training hard.
Yeah.
So I think this is a good opportunity to now actually train for what I need and prepare me for those later races in the season.
Yeah. I'm always surprised how well some people do end up doing coming off of the college. Cole is a perfect example of how the hell did that guy race PRs for 8 months straight?
That is nuts.
That's nuts. So I can't believe it when people do it. It's super impressive. And you had you guys had that early indoor meet where you ran 3:53 in the mile indoors and they were 3:50, 3:51. Then you had your almost national record in the 800 outdoors in June. So, I mean, you just even that alone is that's a long period of time to have multiple, good races. And I'm sure there was some downtime in between there too, but I mean, then extending that to the Olympics, I can only imagine that that's a really long season. And in college you're racing all the time too. It's not like you're just training and, having a 6 month of training, but not racing all the time. You have to be on your A game, week in, week out, which is pretty wild. All of you Oregon guys, you did so well at that, all season. Just I can PR every week. That's cool.
Set up that was a high bar.
Yeah, that's the standard.
Yeah.
A funny little thing I was playing with myself was I wanted to keep staying on that Bauman list. I don't give a rat's ass about the Bauman, but I was put on it. I was so is Coop and Cole. I want to stay on there.
Another motivation.
Whatever race, I want to show up and stay on that list. So it was just little things, little camaraderie between us all. I think was good. That just kept us being hungry and competing in every single race. It was cool.
For sure. On that 800, were you targeting the national record on that one, or did it just almost happen?
The final one when I ran
in June in I think it was June in Portland, maybe that outdoor 800.
Yeah. That was, that was kind of a suspenseful race because that at the time I hadn't got the Olympic standard, so I wasn't qualified for the Olympics, and I couldn't go home to do the trials. So I was told I need to get the standard and I need to be in the top 45 world ranking. And I was pretty confident that my ranking was there, but it wasn't set in stone. So like I needed to get the time.
Got it.
I was surprised I went that low, but I was going after it. Yeah.
Do you feel like you generally respond well to pressure like that? Or is it better when you're just like ripping some repeat in the middle of a workout and it's just happens?
No, I think I need to work on my nerves and just those high pressure systems, because I don't always perform as well as I'd like on the big stage. I think I did pretty well at Tokyo given the circumstances, but I know at some NCAAs I've kind of underperformed because I've let nerves get the better of me. But I definitely do best when it's just low key. And that's exactly what that meet was. There was no one in the race. It was just me. It was set up for me. And I just got on it. And I don't know if you guys knew, but like after NCAA outdoors, we set up a meet like 3 days later. And it was set up for other people to get US standards and Olympic standards. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, coach, put me in the 800 because I want to have another crack. And he was like, what are you doing? You just did outdoors. Like you need to rest. I was like, no, I'm ready to go. And it was legit just 2 people in the race. And I ran like 1:45.2. And that was like 2 or 3 days out after the outdoor final. So I do best when it's just me, I think, but I need to get better at the big stage stuff for sure.
I think to your credit, your performance in Tokyo is pretty good, especially being able to go home and be satisfied with what you're able to lay out on the field. I feel like something that is often repeated by first-time Olympic athletes are just kind of like regretting that they weren't able to really capture the moment, or they left a lot out on the field. I feel like that's very common. So kudos to you.
Yeah, I actually reached out to quite a number of previous Olympians and people that have been in that situation before, and I picked their brain about what I need to do, what I need to prepare for, like just as much information as I could going in so that I was best prepared. And I was aware that it was going to be unique. And one of the things that came up was like, don't expect this to be easy. You may have had easy races to get here, but they said you're going to have to PR to make the final. Like no matter what, you've got to have the race of your life in that semifinal. And another thing was, just soak it in, enjoy it, but don't be too grateful to be there because you belong there, like just little things like that. And I think I handled it pretty well. Given the circumstances, I think I raced well. But it would have been nice to make that final.
Yeah.
What was the thing that like was either culture shock or like the biggest thing that you weren't expecting going into the Olympics, race wise or Olympic Village or otherwise?
I think the awe factor. The warm-up track was located about 5 minutes walk from the Olympic Stadium, and obviously everyone's pretty much using it. And a thing that I probably underestimated was the awe factor of meeting these big athletes. I haven't been on the Diamond League circuit. I haven't seen these guys before, and I am a fan of the sport. So when I do see Chariot or Ingebrigtsen or even like Ollie Hoare and those guys, it's like I haven't seen these guys warm up. So I'm fascinated in seeing what they're doing too. So I was a little bit too much of a tourist, I think, at the start. Soaking it in too much, but that's one thing I would have taken back, and maybe that. I don't know how I could have prepared for that, but that was one thing I probably was a little underprepared for, was like, just like being in awe of these guys. Like I remember I'd finished, I didn't make the final, and I was like, okay, is what it is. What I want to do now is I want to prepare myself for the future world champs or the future Olympics. And what that meant for me was, all right, go watch the 1500 final and see how these guys warm up, get it out of your system.
Yeah.
So I did. I went to the warm up track and I was just a tourist. I was just loving it. I was watching Jakob Ingebrigtsen with his entourage rock up and do his thing. And I was watching Stewie McSween warm up over there in the dark. I was watching Josh Kerr sit in his chair. I was watching everyone. And I was just getting it out of my system. I didn't want any surprises for the next time, you know? So
and just imagine in 2024, there's going to be like half the field is going to be new people and they're all going to be watching you. And they're going to be like, what is this guy, Charlie Hunter? What's he doing? What's he doing in the warm up, man? I'm about to get rocked by him out there.
Yeah.
So who when you're observing people warming up, now I'm just curious, like who runs, like who do you notice running like pretty fast for warm up or like pretty slow, or like was there anyone that did something like super weird that you're like, what the heck, what is this?
Oh, without a doubt, Jakob Ingebrigtsen.
He runs really fast, right?
Yeah, so I got a good story. Like I can break down his warm up to a T.
Let's hear it. Yes.
It was sick. So you had the warm up track, but then you also had an air conditioned room, like a indoor soccer field, and that's where each country had their own like little warm up area. And the Norwegians had a treadmill in there. They were the only country to have a treadmill, so they brought a treadmill in to do their warm up. And I'm outside and watching everyone warm up and he's like late. Everyone's like, I was looking to see where he was because there's nowhere else you can warm up. And he rocks up like 20 minutes later. So he must have done like a warm up in there on the treadmill.
Okay.
And then he comes out and he legit has an entourage. He has like his coach, he has the physio, the masseuse. I think Philip was there. And, he comes out in basketball shorts, tatted up. He's bigger than I thought. Like he looks like a linebacker. He's running in lane 8, just like an absolute boss, just crushing. Like, I think he was running 3:45s, did a couple laps and like does some stretches, whatever. And he demands respect, or like everyone just automatically looks to him. He's just got this like presence about him.
Yeah.
He did some like up tempo thing and I think he cut it short. So his dad was stressed out. He kind of like went to go see what was happening. He finished it off shortly later and did some strides and put on an ice vest and went in. But like that, for some reason, his was like stood out to me as like very unique. He was just in control. He was in control. And so he should be. He's been doing this since he was like 12? Like he's been on this level for so long. So obviously it's not new to him.
Yeah, I kind of gathered that would be the case. But I've watched all the Ingebrigtsen, whatever, Meet the Kardashians, but the Ingebrigtsen version. I've watched all of those with subtitles, and yeah, he's always got his whole squad around him at meets, and he just like the relationship he has with his dad. It's like, yeah, everything is like so down to a science, like tactical, like. If anything's off, it's like weird or whatever. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I don't know if he's ever really had a bad race, to be honest. So whatever he's doing is working, and he has his schedule down, and clearly it's gets him to be the same level of ready for every single race. So some science to that.
Yeah.
You got you want to do closing questions?
Yeah, let's do a couple closing questions.
One or two.
One that I know off the top of my head that someone asked was, do you see yourself sticking to the 800 in the coming years, or do you see yourself being a 1500 guy come 2024 Olympics specifically?
I keep getting asked that.
I know. Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to know because you've been killing it in the 800, but I think you've said before, like you see yourself more as a miler, and you're more like you train a little bit more strength based and all that. So I guess, I don't know. The people got to know.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. Like, I definitely think I have a lot of potential there. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try more with it and just see how we go. The end goal for me is to be competitive in whatever event I feel is best for me. And if that's the 8, that's the 8. It's the 15, it's 15. But I will say the 15 is very tough at the moment. It's tough when you got Stewie McSween leading pretty much every race in 3:30. It's hard to compete with that. And although I do have strength, I don't think I have that type of strength. So we'll see. Whatever's best for me. Yeah, we'll see how the season unfolds. I am opening up with a 15 next week, so we'll see how that goes.
For sure. Favorite Aussie beer?
It's got to be Foster's.
There we go.
I'm not a big beer drinker, but I'd say BB, I guess. Yeah, BB.
Okay. Sure. This okay, whatever, we'll ask it. Tony Kankles wants to know, what's a hypotenuse?
What's a hypotenuse?
Yeah.
Interesting question.
In geometry?
I guess so. Like, there's no context for this question. It's literally just, what's a hypotenuse? So it's whatever you want it to be.
Seems like he's tricking me.
It seems like a trick question.
He's trying to set me up to fail.
Honestly, if it's a trick question, I don't know what the trick is, because that's all I can think of is the triangle side. But I don't know.
I was going to say that, but
one question.
That might be all it is.
One question I have is what is the relationship like between somebody who ostensibly is pretty serious in that of Donavan, and Craig, who is, in my opinion, quite the opposite?
Sorry, what's the question? Sorry.
What's the relationship between the two? Like, what's their dynamic like?
I think Craig just annoys Donavan.
That's
like a little brother. Like, just annoys him. It's funny. Like, yeah, it's funny. Two very different athletes, both on and off the track, but it's so funny to be around. They're just like, Craig is just yapping all the time, and Donovan's like me, just like, shut up.
What, coming to the US, what was the weirdest like cultural norm or slang or something that we do here that you were just like, what is wrong with these people?
Probably the lack of what would you say? No, I'd say like the slang for sure. Like, that's definitely like an American like teen thing, like saying lit or like bet. Like, there's like little slang things that it took me a while to catch on to. And now I'm definitely like, I've incorporated it into the way I talk, which everyone hates back home. Like, my girlfriend hates it when I say some of those words. But yeah, like little things like that probably.
Yeah.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah. Do you have anything to leave the listeners with? Most of the other questions we already answered. People wanted to know about the name of the club and
UAC.
All that good stuff. So you already hit it all. So yeah, do you have anything you want to plug? Anything to leave our listeners with? Any life advice? Financial advice?
Geez, okay. I think I always appreciated running tips. It's such a tough sport, and there's so much inconsistency with what works for who. And it's a tough sport, and it's always hard to give advice based on that. But I feel like I've been through it, and I've found what works pretty well with me. So anything that helps with me, I hope can help others. But something I would have appreciated would be, I'm not going to say trust the process, but I'd say, find what works. I'll put it a different way. I think you just got to roll with it. You got to surround yourself with people that are like-minded. I think you've got to enjoy what you do, as cliche as it sounds, but you really do have to enjoy it. And by just surrounding yourself with like-minded people that are working hard and want to achieve what you want to achieve, you're going to find out what works best for you. And it might not be the same as what works for your training partners. And it might be running a bit easier on easy days, or really crushing it on workout days, or doing strides, or hitting so-and-so mileage. There's no specific science to what makes me run quick or Donavan run quick, but you've just got to it's trial and error. So surround yourself with people you like, and it's going to make the training go easier. And if you stick with it and you've got a bit of talent, you'll go somewhere. So that's probably my best advice.
I like that.
That's excellent advice. Coming from someone who was always like, what's the workout that you would recommend? Or I mean, that like, give me, what was that one workout that you did? It's like, no, it's not. It's way more than one workout. Right, it's a lifestyle. It's everything else. So
yeah, I think that about sums up your you joining UAC as well. I feel like that is really hits that on the head.
It does.
Joining like-minded people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. It was an absolute blast.
Yeah.
And enjoy
no worries.
enjoy the sun out in SLO. We're obviously
Yeah,
very
seriously,
jealous.
keep throwing up some Insta photos, whatever. We'll live vicariously through you because we got the snow, we got the cold. So yeah. Please keep us posted. Keep us in your thoughts as you're posting on Instagram.
No
we'll be rooting for you this season. We're excited to see where things go. It's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah, appreciate you having me, guys.